Here are 10 whiskeys that I'm reaching for right now. What's up, everybody? It's Ty the Bourbon Guy. Welcome back to my channel. Gonna go right to it. So when you make content, when you do videos and write reviews, do all this stuff, you get sent a lot of whiskey. You try a lot of whiskey because you're trying to keep up with everything, trying to let everybody know what it is that your thoughts are on a certain whiskey and whatever the case is. And you don't really ever get a chance to really fully enjoy something because you're constantly moving on to the next thing, trying to find different options for people out there. But I think regardless of what's sent to you, regardless of what you try, and yes, it may be good in a sample where it's a 1 ounce pour and 2 ounce pour, whatever it is, and you're trying to sample, taste it, and provide feedback and a review on something, that's great. But what am I actually reaching for? What am I going for? What's my go-to? At least right now, this changes all the time. But with spring coming up, or I guess we're in spring now, summer's coming up, vacation's coming up. I live in Indianapolis. You got the Indy 500 coming up. You got all sorts of things happening, getting ready to take a vacation here in a few weeks. Summer's coming. Kids gonna be out of school. There's a lot of things happening. As I'm with family, as I'm with friends, as we're celebrating different things, you got different sporting events, whatever it may be, go Pacers. What is it that I'm reaching for? What is it that captures my attention? What am I actually drinking? Not just what somebody sent me to review or what I think you should be drinking. What am I actually drinking? Let's talk about it. All right, number one, this one has got to be the biggest sleeper whiskey I think I've ever come across. One of them, at least. Holiday Soft Red Wheat. This is the Rickhouse proof. I did not think that a craft distiller could really put out a product like this. So shout out to Holiday Distillery. That's the first thing. The second thing is they have a bottled and bond that's very good that I actually really enjoy as well. And I did not think that, a Rickhouse proof, there's going to be a difference because of higher proof, but I didn't think it would be that big of a difference. And it really is that big of a difference. It made it to where I absolutely need to go hunt this bottle. And anytime I see it, I'm buying it, probably buying multiples of it. It's one that I always want to have here. It has become a go-to, and it's one that I think now the word's starting to get out on this, but originally, I don't think anybody was really looking at this. And when you talk about alternatives for things like Weller Full Proof or whatever, some of these limited edition Maker's Mark products that are maybe a little bit harder to find, when you're talking about a whiskey, a wheated bourbon specifically, that's harder to come by, higher proof, any type of those alternatives, you're going to reach for this one. This is one that if you can get it, I would say go get it. Sometimes I say try it before you buy it, scrap all that. You see this one, you buy it. And if you don't like it, I'll take it off your hands. All right, number two, Early Times Bottled and Bond. I mentioned this and I don't even know how many past videos now. This has made several of my lists. And I mentioned the tops. So if it's a blue top versus black top. Blue top meaning that this is now a Sazerac product. Black top meaning that this was the original Brown-Forman product. In my opinion, not that big of a difference in order for us to not buy one or prefer another or whatever. I still have the black tops because when I first found out that they were being sold, I did not know what the situation was with the whiskey itself, whether that was going to be maintained the same, the mash bill going to be the same, what's going to happen, or are they just buying a brand? So I wasn't really sure what Brown-Forman and Sazerac had planned. As any whiskey enthusiast would do, I went and stocked up. At every black bottle top that I could find, I bought it. So I still have plenty of these things, but it doesn't matter. If that's not the one you have, if you have the blue top, who cares, right? It's good whiskey at the end of the day. Price is anywhere from $23. I've seen some people say $29, but it's also a liter, 100 proof, bottled and bond product. Very, very good. And I don't think you can go wrong with this at all. And this is definitely one of my favorite go-tos. All right, number three, Penelope. This is the 4-grain barrel strength toasted. It's so good. it's this bottle to me is kind of, and there's a couple on this list, I think. When you open a bottle and you try it, and sometimes I'm gifted things, sometimes I'm sent things, and sometimes I actually buy them, right? I use my own money plenty of times. But in this particular case, I opened it up when I had family over. We enjoyed it, and it was one of those ones that was so good, and you start to kind of tear at that bottle a little bit, and you kind of got to scoot it off to the side because you don't want to go through it completely. But I'm gonna have to finish this one off soon. This one is just that good. I feel like, in my opinion, there's a big difference between this, a barrel strength toasted from Penelope, and I believe it's 100 proof. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know. I mean, obviously proof, right? But I've actually had somebody from Penelope message me and mention that this was a special one. So I don't I don't really know. I don't know what makes this different besides the proof. There is something special about this bottle next to me. It's just a fantastic whiskey. And I think this summer, vacation, all that stuff, being on a boat, whatever it is that's coming up, it's time to finish this one off. And I definitely will be reaching for this one soon. All right, number 4, Cooper's Craft 100 proof. I always look for sleeper bottles. I always look for bottles that are amazing, that are fantastic bottles of bourbon that nobody's reaching for, that nobody seems to be thinking about. I think Cooper's Craft people know about, but I don't think enough people know about it. Because I went to the liquor store recently, I had a private tasting, stopped off at a store, and because of the nature of that private tasting, I decided to give somebody a gift. Went in there, this bottle is about 30 bucks. And I mentioned it, talked to the guy at the liquor store, and he was kind of surprised that that's, one that's this good. So to me, bottom shelf, $30. Don't let that turn you off to it. It is a great whiskey. It's produced by Brown-Forman. They obviously know what they're doing with whiskey. For those that may not know, Brown-Forman owns Old Forester, Jack Daniels, Woodford Reserve. They own a lot of things. So they know a thing or two about good whiskey. This is one of them. All right, number 5. This is the White Port Cask Finished Bourbon from Chattanooga Whiskey. There you go. I got it all in there. This bottle was sent to me, and it was kind of in that same category like I mentioned earlier. Try it, let us know your thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Well, I tried it, and it absolutely blew me away. It's white port finished. So one, I still don't really know what a white port is. I get that it's a wine. I don't know. I couldn't really figure out what, I'm thinking. And I know in terms of wine, whether you leave the skin in or not when you're producing wine. So I would just imagine that this is port produced the same way, but no skin. I don't know. That's my guess at it. I thought that with this being a port finish, that it'd be similar to like an Angel's Envy, and I don't think it is at all. In fact, there's people that I know, as I've done these different tastings and let people try this product, there's people that have tried this that love Angel's Envy that don't like this product. So I don't think this is for everybody. But if you kind of, you've been into whiskey for a while, you're okay with finished whiskey, you're not, some people are kind of stuck on Kentucky straight bourbon. And if that's what you're looking for, that's not this product. So I would say this is not for you. But if you kind of have tried different things all around and tried different finishes and you're okay with all that and experimenting and, opening yourself up to a little bit more of a different taste profile, I would absolutely give this one a shot. I think I've seen it around $70. But again, this is another one, like I mentioned with Penelope. You open it, you try it, thinking, okay, I'll just tell them what I think. And then before you know it, you pour another glass and you share it with this person, you pour another glass, whatever. So it's one of those that I can't help but go back to. It's one of my favorites right now. And it's definitely going to be with me as the summer starts to come around. All right, number 6, this is the Redbreast 12-year cask strength. Now, not bourbon, not rye, not American whiskey. We're going to go Irish. And I'm not really that big in Irish. I like some of this, like yellow spot, green spot. I still can't bring myself to buy blue spot. Somebody let me know if it's actually worth it. Please let me know if it's actually worth it. But Redbreast products, they have become my favorite. I think in my head, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this with a lot of whiskey, not just Irish whiskey. People probably think this with bourbon too, that, okay, I had Jim Beam, but I don't really like it, so I don't really like bourbon. That's what I kind of felt like with Irish whiskey. I've had Jameson and, things like that. So in my head, it's like, Irish whiskey is not really for me. Well, I tried this Redbreast and really any of their products, but the 12-year cask strength is right down my alley. I like the higher proof. I think it brings a lot of flavors. Shortbread cookie is like the main note that I get on this, and I've heard a lot of people say that. So I definitely get it. In terms of going outside of bourbon, outside of American whiskey, this is always going to be one of my go-tos. And I heard a rumor that it was going away. I got nervous, bought a bunch of it, and it's not going away. It's still here. So it's okay. There's worse things in life than having a bunch of Redbreast 12-year cask strength lined up in my bar. But either way, I'm going to enjoy this one this summer for sure. All right, number 7. This is from one of my favorite distilleries out there, Hard Truth Spirits. I've mentioned them several times in a lot of videos. I have a great relationship with them, at least according to me. I think they think the same. But I love Hard Truth products. I love their story. I love their quality in their products. I love their team and just how passionate they are about what they are doing and how much they care about the product that they place in front of a consumer. They're not just doing whatever they need to do to get a product in front of you, to sell it to you, to market it to you, to mislead you in any type of way just to make a quick buck. That is not what they do at all. If they were, they wouldn't be on my list. They wouldn't be on anything. That's not really what I go for with my content. I try to provide information to those that maybe are getting into whiskey that are tired of being misled or don't want to be misled and want to understand what the real deal products are. Somebody's got to be out there to talk about it, and that's what I'm trying to do. Hard Truth has been a brand that has caught my attention ever since I first tried their product, and the more and more I learned about them, the more and more I loved everything that they were doing. And speaking of everything that they're doing, recently they actually released a bourbon for the first time, and they've released a few different bourbons. I kind of thought that I was going to like the wheated bourbon the best because I enjoy wheated bourbons, but this 4-grain took me by surprise. It was one that I was not expecting at all. I got a chance to go down to the distillery, talk with that team, learn about these whiskeys, fave it straight from the barrel, which is always fantastic, and then do a sample at the end and just trying their different bourbons. And I was surprised that the 4-grain was my favorite. I've heard a lot of people actually come out now on YouTube or whatever it is and say that they actually enjoyed the 4-grain the best as well. So there's something to it. There's some type of magic going on in this bottle. I don't know what they did to it, but it is a great product, and it's one that I know this particular bottle's unopened at the moment, but that's not going to last for long. When I get on vacation, or like I said, in the next few weeks, when there's something to celebrate and we're just relaxing and having a good time, I'm definitely going to be reaching for this one. All right, number 8, this is Green River Wheated Bourbon. I just mentioned that I like wheated bourbons, and this one to me is like a boat bourbon. Is that a thing? Of course it is. You can drink bourbon anywhere, but Green River Wheated Bourbon, it's a lower proof. It's very sippable. It's not like, you know, in the summer hits and it's hot. I don't want necessarily, in certain occasions I do, but most of the time I don't want 130 proof whiskey neat. If I'm drinking something on the rocks, fine, whatever, right? But neat, or even on the rocks, sometimes I want something lower proof and just to kind of sip it and enjoy it. And like I said, be out on the boat or just be outside with family, whatever it is. And this one is one that's as smooth as a sipping whiskey as you can get. I know that a lot of people hate that word smooth. I don't really care. I think it's dumb that people hate the word. People describe whiskey as smooth, and you know what they're talking about. You know what they're referencing. They're referencing something that's not going to melt their face off, or something that's not too harsh for them to drink, something that's sippable, they can enjoy without all of the burn. This is going to be one of those ones that fit in that category. Great whiskey, still has a lot of flavor even at a lower proof. And Green River is a brand that's owned by Bardstown, and they all know what they're doing out there. So shout out to them. All right, number 9, Jack Daniel's. This is their single barrel proof rye. These names are getting longer and longer. Okay, so this one is unopened. I have never actually tried this whiskey. I am so excited to try this. I was happy to finally find it. It was just sitting there. That blew my mind because in my area it has been harder to come by. I do know that some areas this is just sitting there. So I think it's just a matter of time, like most Jack Daniel's products, where it's just going to be sitting on the shelf. They have enough distribution, obviously. They have plenty of whiskey, obviously. So I think it's only a matter of time. If you can't really find this right now, I think just wait it out. But I finally found one, and I can't wait to open this. I like everything Jack Daniel's does. I like their single barrel rye. I like their bonded rye. So there's really no reason for me not to like this at a higher proof. I think it's going to provide more flavor. I think it's going to provide, I would think, maybe even a better texture to it just with the higher proof, and going to pack more of a punch, and I like that. So this will be one that I open, try neat. I think I will enjoy it neat. This might be one of those things like at night. So maybe not necessarily outside on a boat or something like that, but at night where I'm sitting around with family, maybe we're playing cards, whatever, just talking, I'll probably grab this one. But I'm excited to try it, and I already know I'm going to love it. So it is what it is, but I can't wait to open it up. All right, number 10, E.H. Taylor, small batch, bottled and bond. Now, I try my hardest to not always put these allocated bottles, these hard to find bottles on these lists, because what good does it do? You don't need me to tell you this is a good whiskey. And if I do tell you and you don't have it, you're going to go out looking for it and you can't find it, and it just gets frustrating. But when it comes to what am I enjoying right now? What am I trying right now? What am I drinking right now? Whatever, right? Like, this is genuinely me. This is what I'm drinking, and this is one that I go to. I typically grab this bottle because people are over and they want to try E.H. Taylor. They've never had it. They've seen it, whatever the case is. So when I bring it out, and I pour some, for everybody, and then I take a sip. I've had E.H. Taylor plenty of times, but I almost forget how good this actually is. Is it worth all the markup? Not in my opinion, but if you try this and you just love it that much and you're okay to spend that type of money, like, that's different to me than making an uneducated purchase where somebody just tells you this is the best whiskey you'll ever get. There's nothing else out there that can compare. You need to spend $500 on it. Like, that type of thing, I'm not a fan of. But if you had this and you enjoy it and you can find it and it's marked up and you don't mind paying it, that's your decision to make, 100%. I personally never pay anything above retail for it. I know some places maybe slightly over retail, fine. I don't really reach for it all the time. I wait for special occasions or whatever, but it's one I, like I said, typically drink when people are over because they want to drink it and we already have it out. So I just drink it then. But then it reminds me, this is why everybody loves H. Taylor. It is very good. All their products really are pretty good, and they can get kind of gimmicky. Some of the other bottles in their lineup, can definitely be like that. But I think for the most part, this lives up to the hype. I think the barrel proof and the single barrels live up to the hype, in my opinion. H. Taylor is a great product, but again, you don't need me to tell you that. I'm just telling you this is what I'm drinking. It's pretty good. And that does it. Those are 10 whiskeys that I'm either reaching for right now, I'm drinking right now, going to be drinking here in the near future, enjoying, I don't want to say my personal time, because it's all my personal time, right? But like, I'm not doing reviews on these. I'm not doing this just to make content. These are ones that I'm actually drinking. This is genuinely what I'm reaching for. So I hope that helps you maybe get a better idea of what it is that I enjoy. Whiskey is so subjective and it can be so different from person to person. It's no different than food or anything else. It's my taste preference versus your taste preference. And it doesn't mean we have to align. It doesn't mean you have to like all 10 of the same things I just listed. You try these and you see what you like, and that's all that matters. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you again so much, as always, for all of the support. I've had so much support here on this channel lately, and I just cannot thank you all enough. It means the world to me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.